Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Stacy Winsett. She is the author of the new book, From Ashes to Influence, her incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I think you'll agree with me. It's tougher to be a leader now than it was in any time in our history. I remember growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the boss had a management style that went something like this. It's my way or the highway. Well, that doesn't play very well in today's workplace where sometimes 4 and even 5 generations are working together. Somebody who knows that very well is my next guest. Stacy Winsett is in the studio. She is the author of From Ashes to Influence. Thanks for coming on the show, Stacy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. I know this is a deeply personal journey for you. So why don't you talk about your childhood?
Sure. So adversity for me started out very, very soon. I was 6 weeks premature, very, very sick as a child, and requiring me to sit up for my first year of life. I couldn't sleep laying down for various reasons. I had tumors on my body. And so you can just imagine my mother has one in diapers, and then she's got this new premature sick child. Lots of stress in my household from the very beginning. And by age 2, my parents divorced with obviously all the stress. They divorced and my dad left. So that was abandonment number 1. And at age 3, my mom decided she couldn't afford to take care of both my brother and I, so I was sent to live with relatives. And so that was abandonment number 2. And at age 4, she decided it was okay to come home. She had found a new husband, this new stepdad, and to come to find out, he was associated with the mob. That mob.
Wow.
And so lots of violence in my household at that time. And during that period of time, he said, if you ever leave me, I'll burn your home down.
Wow.
And at age 5, he was a man of his word. So our home burned to the ground, and it was determined to be arson. So that was age 5. So you learn really quickly. That adversity I'd been under stress my entire life up to that point, but that was really eye-opening, and you start to realize, okay, this is what life looks like. You assume that homes are permanent, and and walls equal protection, and that just wasn't the case. And throughout my childhood, there was lots of other violence and abuse within the home. And at age 15, after some violence from my own relative within the home, my mother threw me out of the house. She took their side. Instead of protecting me, she threw all of my belongings out in the middle of the highway. So here I am. There I'm standing out in the middle of the highway with a cheap plastic trash bag with all of my belongings flowing and cars just passing by. And so at that point, I found myself on my own at age 15.
Wow.
So that was the childhood.
Stacey, I can't even, this needs to become a movie.
No, it's just the childhood.
All right, much more from Stacy in a minute. I found your speaker reel. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Some leaders are made in boardrooms. Stacy Winsett was forged in fire. For over 2 decades, she's led human capital strategy across 7 global organizations, from American Airlines to the transit systems that move American cities. Chief People Officer, certified at the highest levels.
I have a tendency to gravitate to companies that need the most HR help. And so I love being able to come in and truly make a difference. I love to be able to bring about positive change.
Her philosophy is simple, and it changes everything.
You have to put your people first. We have to celebrate the people in our organizations and make them feel comfortable bringing their authentic selves.
When Stacy walked into RATP Dev USA, turnover was 55%. The industry average, 50.
We finished the year at 55%. We were at 55, then we reached, I think, 50, and then we reached 43.7 last year.
Reduced arbitrations by 90%, EEO cases by 50%, litigation by 65%, and legal costs by 75% over 3 years.
Trusted by the biggest names in American industry. In her debut book, From Ashes to Influence, Stacy reveals what decades of corporate leadership never could alone. That true influence isn't built from achievement. It's forged through fire, faith, and the courage to lead differently. Keynotes, leadership retreats, executive forums. Stacy Winsett speaks to the leaders who carry the weight and shows them how to lead without losing themselves.
The question Stacy asks leaders is, do you have the courage to take the journey from survival to influence?
Stacy Winsett, From Ashes to Influence.
So powerful. You're an amazing speaker. I want to talk more about your book. Let's go ahead and put the book cover up full screen. I love the name. How did you come up with the name?
So obviously, the story before the ashes came from the house fire, but it's also literal and symbolic, right? Because there's been plenty of ashes throughout all the adversity in my life, and it's really turning those, showing people that you can move out of all that adversity and move towards something positive, especially in leadership, because it shapes how you lead, and you don't realize that sometimes until much later. I was, as a young leader, I always was rewarded for always being the strong one, always being the one to come through, always being you could count on me for everything, and that's great, right? That's what you want leaders to do. However, that ultimately over the years became over-functioning. And so when you're always rewarded for doing more and more and more, eventually you're going to hit the wall. And so that's, we talk a lot about over-functioning in the book and recognizing that pattern to be able to step back and create those healthy boundaries, being able to do more self-care.
Yes. Well, it seems like with the abandonment issues, and you probably had some trust issues. How did that shape the leader you are today?
Oh goodness, it was more doing it all on my own. There was no trust. I couldn't trust anyone to save me, to protect me, to do all those things. And so as a leader, it was the same thing. It was more, I did everything, and so people counted on me. I never counted on anyone else, and that's a bit sad. Now that I recognize the pattern, I didn't let people in. I didn't let people help me.
Sure.
Because every time I did, it kind of slapped me back in the face. And so it wasn't until in later parts of my leadership where I had a safe space and had psychological safety that I recognized that and started to build those strong relationships with healthy leaders.
So we live in a society where there are so many generations in the workplace, and I know you have a thriving company where you have multiple generations. How do you get all of them to work together? Because I know the boomers have an attitude about Gen Z, and the Gen Zs might have an attitude about boomers. What's the secret to collaborating on a project?
Communication, right? I know that's cliche, but it is. It's all about communication. And I think it's bringing those groups together and helping them understand each other's value, right? Your baby boomers need to understand technology, and the younger ones coming up are fantastic at that. And so, and the younger groups really need to understand that knowledge that the baby boomers bring. And I will tell you, we have these micro families throughout all of our locations, and they're great. They get along well. We bring them in, do focus groups, and help them. Just again, it's back to true communication.
Yes, and I know your faith plays a big role in your life. Will you talk about that?
Oh, gladly. So when you read the book, you'll probably ask the question, how in the world did she get through all of that? And still standing, still smiling. And truly, it was by the grace of God. When you look back and you think of all of those things that you went through, there's only one reason. All right, God was there for me. He protected me. He carried me at times. And he has redirected me quite a few times, right? Sometimes you're not meant to be in this spot, and he wants to redirect you and put you in a better spot. Maybe it's a place for you to have more influence. It's no longer healthy where you are. And he has performed so many miracles in my lifetime as well. A couple of them I talk about in the book. One was just recently, so I'm quite passionate about it.
Please share.
Okay, well, there was a childhood friend of mine, and when I was growing up, I experienced food insecurity. I was extremely poor, and she found out about it, that I wasn't eating every day, and so she says, "Hey, let's give you a ride home from basketball practice one day," and so I was like, "That's great, thank you very much." Otherwise, I would have had to walk, and I think I was a freshman in high school at the time, and I get into their vehicle, and the entire back seat is filled with groceries for my family.
Wow.
And that one act of kindness stayed with me and made such a difference. And so let's fast forward 40 years.
Sure.
40 years. This person came back into my life a few years ago, and she had her second bout with cancer, severe, 2 different types of breast cancer. And I know she won't mind me sharing about it, because I actually share about it in the book. And I won't go through the whole thing here, but I will tell you that she asked that through the surgery, that if she's going to go through all of this, she just wants to hear God's voice. And so when she was coming out of surgery and we're in the recovery room and we're talking with her, it came over me to lay my hands on her forehead. I'd not seen her for 40 years, but I knew I needed to place my hand on her forehead. And at that very moment, she heard the voice of God.
Wow.
And so she tells a story. I got to be that conduit for her. And there's some other things that led up to that, where God used us to be able to help her to get that surgery.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Well, your book is so deeply personal. Was it tough to write?
Yeah, I think it was. People have been encouraging me for years to, Stacy, you need to get out there. You need to tell the story. It will impact others. You've got to get out there and do it. And so I started this last July. I think I wrote the first 6,000 words in July. And my career kept me too busy to do anything else until December. And then after this miracle happened in December, I was like, okay, God, I think it's time to finish this book. So on vacation, I wrote the other 40,000 words. And but through that was a lot of tears, right? It's like picking a scab, whipping that Band-Aid. But I can tell you that going through those stories over and over and going through those lessons learned has really helped heal me. Yes. And I hope will heal others, and they can see that, all right, you can overcome anything, right? If you have faith, you can overcome anything. And that's really the story from Ashes to Influence, is to help others to understand they don't have to stop there, right? They don't have to be defined by that adversity. In fact, they could be refined from it. And that's really what I want people to be left with is understanding that pain doesn't have to hold you down and keep you, from being the best you can be.
Yes. We're going to pull up your website because you do a lot of keynote speaking. What kinds of audiences do you like to speak to?
So obviously leadership is probably the main one. Leadership, faith-based groups are good. I'm thinking about doing some work with foster children, like battered women's groups.
Yes.
I'm feeling led to do a lot there. But the book is more geared around that leadership and how to move into that healthy stewardship. So often leaders that have been through adversity are still living in survival mode, and that stress ultimately is going to impact the people that they lead. So we have to be stewards.
Oh, are people surprised when they read your book? Because your persona is very strong,
Right.
independent, but the book is so tender and vulnerable.
Yes.
Are they surprised when they read it?
I think so. I think that they're surprised, but I think they are. What's the word I'm looking for? I think they're excited to see that there's hope, right? I hope that that's what I leave them with in the book. I will always be, as my husband says, she's stronger than 3 acres of garlic. He tells people in the book that if we were on Survivor Island, that I would win and he would be gone by lunchtime. So, and I think that's just the adversity. But if I didn't go ahead and go deep, so many books don't talk about
Yes.
realness. And in this book, we go there. We go there in many ways. People are going to learn more than they ever thought they'd want to know about me. But I think that that's really what's going to help them heal. So I'm glad I wrote it.
All right, what's next for Stacy? Where do you see
Oh my
this
goodness.
going?
So obviously I have a wonderful career. I have a wonderful company that I work for in the transit space, RATP Dev USA. But I have a love for labor. I ultimately want to get out and speak more to the people that need to hear it. I want to help leaders to be able to do things differently. And luckily, I have the platform to be able to do that. So I want to get out there and talk more to others.
I love it. Stacy, we have about 2 minutes left, so I want you to look into the camera on the left and maybe talk to that leader who's struggling. Maybe they have imposter syndrome or they really haven't found their voice.
Oh, so absolutely. So finding my voice was absolutely critical. There were times in my career that I lost my voice, quite frankly. There was a time I talk about in the book that it was 7 years that I really lost my voice. There was another time where I let a bully executive take my voice from me. And I think, again, we have to talk about those things. So I would urge leaders to, if you find yourself in that space where it's not healthy for you, I hope that you'll find the courage to move on. It's okay to move on, right? Sometimes, as I shared, God is redirecting us into something better. And we're not meant to stay in a space where it's unhealthy for us. And so I just hope that you'll choose yourself, choose self-care, and move to where God wants you to be planted.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you.
story with us. We're going to end with her website so you can book her for all your speaking needs. Stacy Winsett, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.